There we go. It's fun, you're right. It's in building for sale. So you're not gonna buy this as a building for sale. Oh, was they go in there?
They are not. Porch go in.
You're gonna do that?
Yeah, they both sell.
I'm like 90%
Yeah.
I'd see her.
Well, can you hear me, Liz? Okay, great, okay. Is this recording now?
Yes, it is. It is.
Otherwise, we'll not have minutes.
Yeah.
We'll be good. All right, calling this meeting to order, please rise for the flag to the table. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting is December 9, 2024, was included in the list of meetings notice sent to the Hunter County Democrat and Courier News on January 3, 2024, posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on that date and has remained continuously posted as required. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. Just for the public's knowledge, our clerk is out sick tonight. So please bear with us for any technical difficulties because Councilman Levitt is running our Zoom and our attorney, Council Chris Corsini is going to be acting as clerk. So if you please call roll call.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Here.
Councilwoman Pissarro,
Here.
Councilwoman Levitt,
Here.
Council President Hall,
Here.
Councilman Barker.
Here.
Council Vice President Rossetti.
Here.
It's here.
She's here.
Oh, Mayor Carroll.
Here, thank you. We don't have a presentation tonight. I did invite Go Hunterdon to come and talk to us about those reticulating flashing lights. The Councilman Levitt suggested we look at for parts of town, but he's out sick too. So that's not happening tonight. So hopefully in January, we'll get some information on that. Just a couple of things from me. Regarding the traffic and the parking issues in town. We've still not heard back from the DOT about extending the left turn lane on 31 to Church Street to get out of town. Hopefully they're gonna be responsive and give us the answer we want, which is that they'll extend that length of time for people to make that left turn. And we do have several parking committee meetings in the month of December to look at kiosks for potentially going back to metered parking in certain parts of town, particularly around the Main Street area when the hotel project opens up. But we're debating any of that or building kiosks over the next couple of weeks.
I mean, January, right?
No, December.
January 9th and.
Oh, is that really? I thought it was December 9th and December 15th.
They could be.
Well, I mean, it's subcommittee anyway, but yeah, I'll make sure that something gets sent out. I just thought it was December, sorry if I'm wrong.
No, sorry if I interrupted that.
That's it. No, that's
So I
okay.
missed something.
No, I just thought they were this month. We do have an executive session tonight with a couple of items in it that are listed. And I just, want to take this opportunity to thank Councilwoman Rossetti. It has been an absolute pleasure serving you for the last few years. You have been thoughtful and wise and has asked, wonderful questions and, you're going to be really missed. I'm going to certainly miss you a lot. And I just wanted to say thank you for your 3 years of service, Liz, and we hope we see you in the future and, you get back into public service at some point.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We can't hear you, but that's okay.
Oh.
I read your lips.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. But thank you for coming to the rescue.
I have no idea.
No idea.
Liz, could you say something?
Can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that a lot. What you said. Thank you.
I sincerely mean it. I'm gonna miss you. You've been just
Thank
wonderful. So, Okay, Council President Wong.
Hi, good evening. A few items here. Fire department responded to 25 calls for service in the month of November. Department's happy to report that there was only 3 incidents of unauthorized burning during the open burn ban put in effect by the NJFFS, the Forest Fire Service. The ban was lifted on November 21st. The department asks that for the safety of the residents and community, those who wish to have recreational fires in their yards follow the guidelines provided by NJFFS and only burn clean, dry wood. The burning of leaves and other yard waste is prohibited. Those using commercially purchased fire pits and chimeneas use them in accordance with the instructions. Flemington Fire Department wishes the residents a safe and happy holiday. Got several OEM items, some holiday safety tips. As the holiday season progresses, OEM encourages residents to prioritize safety, particularly in regards to Christmas trees and decorations. And just to consider Christmas tree fire safety, select a fresh tree and water it daily. Keep the tree at least 3 feet from a heat source like a fireplace or a candle. Use only indoor rated lights and inspect them for damage. Turn off lights before leaving home or going to bed. Dispose of the tree promptly after the holiday, as dry trees pose a fire risk. General safety tips: test your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. Avoid overloading electrical outlets. And keep walkways clear of decorations to prevent tripping and hazards. Recognition of our CERT volunteers. The OEM would like to commend this volunteers for their outstanding dedication over the past 2 weeks. CERT members contributed over 100 hours of service during the Turkey Trot event and the 100 Holiday Parade by assisting with pre-event planning, setup, and event operations. These events would not have been as successful without their hard work and professionalism. Their commitment to public safety is invaluable, and the OEM deeply appreciates their contributions to the community. December is disaster preparation month, and that means that with winter weather on the horizon, it's recommended that you update emergency kits with essentials like blankets, flashlights, batteries, non-perishable food and water. Winterize your vehicles and emergency supplies, including a snow brush and an ice scraper. Review family emergency plans to ensure readiness for power outages or severe weather. Sign for local emergency alerts and stay informed on the borough website. The squad, November statistics and activity. Basically, the squad had 287 calls. Remember, this is a shared service with Raritan Township, but occasionally with other townships and boroughs. So 69 in Flemington Borough, just so you know, that's November alone. And just some percentages, comparison points between last year, November of 2023. Responses are up 11%. Contact has been made with 260 patients that past month. So that's up 17.6% from November of 2023. 208 of those patients were transported to medical facilities by the squad ambulance. This is up 18.8% from November of 2023. During November, the rescue squad and Health Quest hosted the 6th annual rescue truck pull event in Raritan Township. This year's truck pull consisted of 12 teams and was the best attended ever since its inception. Rescue squad participated in the Hunterdon County Technical Rescue Task Force monthly drill in Lambertville. The squad's EMS drill for November was on a firefighter medical emergencies. 8 members completed their 12-hour grain bin rescue class, and 5 members completed the 32-hour structural collapse rescue operations level class. About 15 rescue squad members participated in annual Thanksgiving Eve standby and work detail. The next morning provided EMS standby for the Thanksgiving Day Turkey Trot in Flemington Borough with 5 ambulances. The rescue squad also responded to a structure fire out in Reddington. That's my report.
Thank you. And it's interesting because Flemington Borough, every time we do a report on the rescue squad, we're 25% of the calls. We're consistently 25% of the calls. But I'm just curious, you know, Raritan Township has opened up some very large housing complexes in the last 2 years. So I just not, this is just a rhetorical question, not, you know, about the percentage of the increase in calls, if it's somewhere near the percentage of increase in population in Raritan Township. Because they've opened up, you know, the 2 Big Willow sites, the big apartment complex over by PetSmart, the big apartment complex at Health Quest, almost in the last couple of years. So, you know, I don't think it's that they're, I know they're busier, but it could be population driven as well as just, you know, But anyway, just my thoughts, but,
Thanks.
Council Vice President Rossetti?
Thanks, Mayor. So the last shade tree meeting of the year is this Wednesday, the 11th at 7 p.m. Last I've heard from them, hopefully I'll get an update this Wednesday, but they did submit their community forestry plan for review. So we're progressing along with all that. They're just waiting for feedback from the state. And then, yeah, I just want to take a minute to thank everyone. You've all been a pleasure to work with. I've learned a lot with, all the different aspects of being in government here. I want to take a moment just to thank all the elected officials, the borough employees, all the volunteers on the various commissions and committees I've assisted with as well. And, just to encourage everyone else out there who might be listening to really get involved because, it's a lot of work. There's a lot that goes on that, you don't realize until you're in it. So just involvement is the key here. But thank you all. I sincerely mean that. I respect all of you greatly.
Thank you very much, Liz. Councilman Levitt.
HPC meeting this month was moved since our typical meeting date, I believe, would have been on Christmas. We have moved it to December 18th. On the topic of the RRFBs, I originally investigated those in regards to the smaller Main Street circle. I'd asked somebody at the DOT what the process was and what the cost estimate would be, and they told me an insane number. And I don't know if I misunderstood or what happened. What's that?
No, it's insane number.
But I didn't investigate it any further. I don't know if you guys looked at, because I know it's a different process with working with the state directly. I would simply ask that somebody investigate how that is and maybe get a little more information.
You're talking about the lights.
Like the RRFBs,
Yeah.
the flashing pedestrian
So,
lights, right?
when I talked to Go Hunterdon, so, our traffic consultant gave me an invoice that he did for another municipality. The hardwired in.
Yeah.
$36,500 a piece. Go Hunterdon said there is a solar version that runs somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000. And they have been able to get some grants for some municipalities in Hunterdon for these. And, Clinton Town has had them up now for 2 years, the solar ones. So they were going to reach out to the chief of police in Clinton Town for us to find out what their experience has been, during snow events when the solar panels are covered up and rain events where it might be dark for a few days with the clouds. So they're gonna do a full report for us when they come in January.
I was specifically talking about on state highways, like the Main Street Circle Road is governed by partially governed by the
Correct.
DOT.
That is correct.
And working with them specifically to put things, on that circle, that was, if you ask me personally where I think it needed the most, probably over there.
On Route 12.
I've walked across the circle one time,
Mhm.
that was a miserable experience.
Mhm.
I can't imagine having to do that every day to get to your job. And I think it's, especially for right there, it's more of a matter of time, not like if, but when.
Are you talking about trying to cross the
Yeah,
street?
yeah, like trying to
To
cross
Steve's,
the-
like right
No,
there?
no, on the circle on Main Street, like going over towards Rayville.
Okay.
Where Staples is and
Yep,
whatnot.
yep.
Yeah, that's, that,
Yeah.
I've had nightmares.
Yeah.
when I see people do it, it's just like,
Well, I can ask you to take a look and put something, like the left turn late, letter, he had timing suggestions in that letter to the DOT that I signed, so, he speaks their language, so maybe he can put something together for them to study it or look at it.
Well, thank you. That's all I have for that, but, as for, animal control, got the report today, only 3 calls total for the last month, which I think is the lowest number I've seen this year. I just want to say, I think my first year here with animal control has been a resounding success based on these numbers. And I'd like to thank, all the incredible work from every creature and critter in this country. Yeah, I guess this is the end of my first year on council here, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure, great opportunity, long time up here, and of course, like everybody else said, thank you very much, Liz, for all the incredible work you've done over the years, for this town and for this council. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Parker.
Yeah, just a couple of things, but before I start, I just want to address, when something's said and it bothers me for a period of time, I have to get off my plate. So the last meeting we had during the public open session, someone used the word in saying that council should have the courage to do something, and I just, that stuck in my crawl for the longest time. Here's what I'm gonna say to that. The mere fact that everybody sits up here takes a lot of courage. The mere fact that people run for an office takes a lot of courage. The mere fact that we can disagree with it, the mere fact that if we don't agree to move something forward, or we agree to move something, takes courage. So when someone says that it takes, have the courage to do something, I prescribe very hard. See, I believe in teaching people how to treat me, first of all. So that, to me, that was a total insult. And I will protect this body, this governing body, at all possible costs. You will not disrespect this body. You will not respect this body by using the word courage. So I would anticipate that someone owes us an apology, but of course that would take courage to do that. So I'm not gonna expect that to happen. So moving forward, I just have to put that there because I just think we're not gonna start off 2025 with disrespecting this concept. That's just not gonna happen. And I will always speak up when it happens. So that said, I wanna move on to the police report. A couple of things for the police that I wanna say. I keep saying I'm extremely proud of how they have evolved. And they have truly evolved with community policing. They have had several events, including, let me just get to my notes. Including something in November for they raised $570 for No Shave to sponsor cancer. I thought that was remarkable that they could do that. They met at Coffee with the Cop at Fleming Castle in November. They also did something with United Way at the Flemington Arms Complex to talk about things like parking, prevention of crime, motor vehicle law, juvenile issues. And then the other thing that they've done is they've done some things at Stengel Market where they've gone that with some of the residents and business owners at Stengel. So my passion and my pet peeve was that I just wanted the police to get involved with the community, and they have done so well at getting that done. They've done so well, and I'm very, very proud of them. They've also been busy this past month. They have 54 criminal investigations going on, some of which included DWIs, burglaries, thefts. We did have a death by overdose a couple of weeks ago. There's been some, they would call it terroristic threats, some shoplifting going on. So they've been quite busy. They've had about 14 arrests, I think. 13 arrests, 13 arrests. So it just, I think the more that they're out in the community, I think the more they're beginning to see what's going on and they're able to tackle those things. So again, I take my hat off to them. I think they've done a really, really good job at turning around and being visible. To that end, Liz, again, what I admire most about you is that you sit back and you're very much a deep thinker. So you just sit back and digest everything and then come out with a different perspective. And I think for me that I admire that because not everybody can do that. I really, really admire that. I am going to miss you. Again, I do have something for your daughter. I will drop it off before Christmas and I wish you luck.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take the courage to disagree with you regarding the word courage. I did not take it as an offense to the
Well,
council.
I did it. I don't care how you took it. I did.
Fine, but
Okay, well,
I'm
I'm
not, but I'm
You did it,
saying,
but I did.
and I said, I'm gonna take courage by saying this, so don't bark down my throat, because I do feel that the person was meaning it in a disparaging way, and I will defend anybody's freedom of speech under the First Amendment. To say
I
what
don't
they
have a
feel.
problem with speech. I have a problem with insulting
I did
people.
not,
That means you need to choose your
we can
words
disagree,
differently because
Councilman,
okay,
I did not
my,
personally take
but
it. as
it was my
disparaging.
thing. So I'm saying this. You choose your words carefully because words hurt. So choose your, I don't care who it is, you have the freedom of speech, but you do not have the freedom of speech not to choose your words carefully. And if I felt insulted, then I'm insulted. Whether you disagree with that or not, it doesn't really matter. It's me. I'm talking about me. That's what I'm talking
Right,
about.
but you made a statement about you're not gonna allow to get 2025 off in that same foot.
I'm
And I
not,
do take,
and I'm not. And
I
every
take
time it
umbrage
comes
to
up,
that
I'm gonna do it.
because I disagree
Well,
with you.
that,
So,
oh, you're allowed to do that.
Councilwoman Fasaro.
Okay. First, because I will forget, I would like to wish everybody a nice holiday, whatever it is that you celebrate. And a happy new year, and we'll see you again next year. On that note, it's time for goodbye. Our library director, Sean Arrington, is retiring at the end of this year, and the library board selected a new director who will be starting on January 2nd. And hopefully we'll be able to introduce that person very early in the new year, the team. Liz, I knew you a little bit before council, working and doing activism in the community. And in 2020, I know you ran, and I told you that you, my perception of you is you would fall across COVID covered broken glass for your daughter, and you would. And I have that same warmth and thought of you for this community. Thank you so much for the time given, for the volunteerism, and please don't go away. You have been an absolute pleasure to know. What is it now, 6, 7 years? And I've just always been impressed with you, and I'm so happy that we got to have you to serve this community, which is wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and that's it. So thank you, Liz.
Thank you all, seriously. And I'll be here. I won't be here every Monday meeting, but I will be in town and around, and if you need help, give me a call. Y'all know how to get me.
You give us a hard time if necessary, so you know I like it. I like when you ask questions.
Thank you, Councilwoman Engelhardt.
Thank you. So I think I'll start with just thanking the Chamber of Commerce, since nobody's done that yet. For the parade, there was just a lot of smiles and community spirit on Saturday night, walking down the street. So I saw a lot of happy people there. So I want to thank the Chamber for that. I want to also thank the DPW. I know somebody else mentioned a couple others, so I'll call them out as well. In particular, I know that they helped out a couple residents with just trying to get their car in the right place, and I just want to thank them all for the cleanup afterwards and everything. I also want to mention the FCP. I went to the Santa Bazaar over the weekend and shopped, and it was a festive time there too. So thank you for setting that up. I think I know it's only the second annual one, but I think that we'll have a lot of success. So Sam Fleming, we do have our last monthly open house this Saturday. SamuelFleming.org is the website for more information. But definitely stop by and say hello. They're always happy to give anybody a tour that wants us there as you're running around town shopping.
What are the hours, please?
It's one.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, it's at 1 o'clock. Yeah,
When is it, Susan?
At 1 o'clock. It's always
This Saturday.
This Saturday, December 14th, 5 Benels. They do every month. It's at the same time. Schools. December 19th is the next FRSB Board of Ed meeting, 7 p.m. at JPK's. December 16th is the next high school Board of Ed meeting. That's at the IMC building, and that's a little earlier than normal. It's at 6:30. They're having some presentations to some students that have achieved some important milestones. So that it would be great to check out. This week, you know that our high school has a lot of great arts events. There is the holiday choral concert December 11th, 7 p.m. in the auditorium, and December 13th, this Friday, is the Thespians holiday presentation, also 7 p.m., but that is at the Little Theater. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go and check out our talented young ladies and women in the arts over at the high school, I encourage you to get some holiday spirit and go check it out.
Susan, one question, is that the choral thing, is that the high school? Or is that
Yeah,
the middle?
that's the high school choral holiday concert,
Okay, thanks.
7 p.m. December 11th. In the auditorium.
Okay.
So that's the main entrance to the building, for those that are not aware. Let's see, and finally, I want to thank Liz. I know everybody's already said a lot of nice things. It was a real pleasure working with you, especially the last year plus, last 2 years. And you've always led by example, and you've handled yourself with amazing grace and professionalism. I've always admired your quiet leadership. I know you and I have had a lot of good chats over the last 2 years, and I really appreciate your friendship as well. And I know that you did promise, you and I worked really hard on those that Parks grant, and I know that you promised to continue to help out wherever needed, and you were instrumental in getting in helping get that grant application in. So I am forever grateful and looking forward to working with you in the future in any capacity that you can provide, because you're not gonna let you get away that easy.
Thank
So,
you, Susan. Thank you.
Family and enjoy. And that's it.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the first public comment session. Anybody wishing to speak to the council on, comment on any matter, please come to the microphone. If it's regarding the public hearing on the My Street traffic lights and the Bloomfield Avenue traffic light, please hold those comments until the public hearing. State your name, address for the record, spell your last name, please, for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Kyle Doremus, Doremus. I'll keep it brief. I'm here on behalf of CEA. We hosted the turkey trot this past Thanksgiving.
You're
on
the
Main
new
Street.
hire, right?
I am the new hire, as Michael would call me, I'm the boots on the ground, to use his phraseology. But I'm here to express my thanks to not only the council, but the various organizations within the Flemington and Raritan townships that helped us get this event off without a hitch. EMS, OEM, Flemington PD, Raritan PD. DPW, Jesse at Department of Public Works is a lifesaver. I will just leave it at that. The Women's Club of Flemington, very helpful as well. Again, I would like to thank all the council members for, was the quickest approval of a agenda item I think I've ever seen. So that was very happy to see that. I do appreciate it. As I said, new hire. So this is my first experience with this council, and I have nothing but kind words. So thank
The
you.
only way any of the 7 of us will ever beat any of the people running is in a quick approval.
I ran, but I'm not gonna tell you my time.
I saw you go past my house, right?
You're very welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you for saying those nice words about our staff at DPW. These things are all treasures.
Absolutely. I will probably see you in about a year.
Okay, I really would appreciate if you were wearing a turkey hat and a tutu.
Oh, yeah, they tried to get me to wear the turkey suit, but
That would have been perfect.
Come back in about 10 months. We don't want it to be last minute.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Anybody else from the public?
Just a quick question.
Come on up to Mike. We need your name and address and spell your last name for the
So
record.
Michael Novak, NOVAK, 35 Vine Street. Yeah, you just said something about the traffic lights on Vine Street. So we were here tonight to talk about, hopefully in public session, stop signs. Is that the same thing?
Did I say traffic lights by
Yeah.
accident? Yeah, I meant the stop signs.
So,
That's a public hearing.
okay, and when would that be?
It's pretty soon because it's a very short agenda.
Oh, so it's tonight?
Oh, yeah, public hearings today.
Fine, I just want to make sure that. Thank you.
Anybody else for the public? 3 minutes, Robin, seriously.
Clear.
Nice to see you too.
Every
Okay,
single week, yes.
I know it's only 3 minutes, so somebody tell me when
Go
3
ahead.
minutes is up, because I'll be talking. And I'm happy to stop at 3 minutes. So I just wanted to say we've completed, I think, 8 holiday events. They've all been really wonderful. Our holiday trolley was greatly successful, and it's a 28-seat trolley. We go around and around and around. So I think we've had probably about 300 people through the trolley system. We've got it down to a science. It takes us about a half an hour to get around town. And this last event, we actually had Santa at the Shops of Flemington. They have a new management company. They've been sponsoring a lot of things. We got a nice note from the fire department thanking them for paying the fire department to give free hot dogs. There was free pizza. There was free crafts and a whole room set up with kids and entertainment. It was awesome. So, you know, it's really nice to be working in all the 3 business districts. And to that end, this year, we changed our holiday passport. I'm leaving them with you. It used to be 10 receipts to win $500. Now it's 3 receipts, 1 from each of our business areas, so that people get the list. And just, we've eliminated some services like dentists, because generally that's not a gift. And focused on retail. So on Main Street, there's 70 businesses included. On Stengel, in the Stengel Arts and Cultural District, there's 45 businesses included. And up at the shops and at the Circle Highway District, there are a total of 78 businesses. So there's an even number, close to an even number of retail from Main Street and the Highway District, a smaller number over at the Stengel area because it is smaller. But all in all, it's about 200 businesses. So we do really have a depth of retail businesses. We've already gotten a bunch of passports back because this 1 in 3, each business area seems to be working well. And we're excited about that. So I'm gonna leave a bunch of these things here for everyone.
When did that start, Ronnie?
It started Black Friday. And we go until January 5th, because sometimes people wait until after the holidays to shop.
And how do people find out?
It's on, there's passports in it in most of the stores that are participating. They're always available at our events. They'll be available here. And there's an online option. So if you want to just download this one sheet to make it easy, you can print one from home. You don't even need to fill out the form. You can just send us an email.
On the Love Flemington website.
Yes, and we do ask for receipts, but people can redact any important information that they don't want to share with us. And we do see that there are people who, you know, we don't discriminate high or low in terms of spending, but there are people who are buying diamond rings at Saunders Jewelry and a cup of coffee, you know, at Dunkin' Donuts. And because we need to embrace all of our businesses. 3 minutes? All right, great. We have 2 more Santa events coming up. And we hope to see you Thursday night at the Sip and Stroll at Stengel, because it's a big holiday party and we have dance performances and all kinds of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else from the public? Not on the public hearing. Okay, approval of minutes, regular session November 12th, 2024. Your motion,
I'll move.
is there a second?
I'll
Carl second. Any changes since Carla's not been in today? Everybody okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Executive session November 12th, 2024. I know the Councilwoman Engelhardt has an edit 6.
Yeah, I just found a typo. We need to substitute the word Captiva for the word Cardinal in the minutes. I think that was just a typo.
Okay. Anybody else? I have a motion to approve the November 12th executive session.
Long move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none. All right, consent agenda resolution 2024-160 declaring 1 vehicle surplus and authorizing donating the vehicle to the Flemington Rare and First Aid Rescue Squad. And resolution 2024-161 resolution authorizing the closure of certain streets for the holiday parade on December 7th. Yes, this is retroactive. We remembered to do CA, but did not remember road closures. Can I have a motion? Does anybody want anything off of consent?
I have a question.
Sure.
So, 2024-160 declaring one vehicle surplus. What drives that decision to say no to surplus, that we purchase something else?
No, it's usually their vehicles that are just been driven into the ground,
Okay,
too much mileage, really can't be affordably fixed any longer, and generally the DPW takes a look at it, and our mechanic takes a look at it and says, this is not worth fixing anymore.
okay, that's fine.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Sorry, I'll second.
Any other questions? All, roll call please.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Hart,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Pissarro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rosetti.
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this before, Adrian, because you asked. These vehicles they use in like demonstrations or training, they use like the jaws of life on them, so they're generally just
Okay.
used for training purposes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just,
Sorry, I'm sitting here like.
Always, no $1,000,000.
Alright, we have no,
We'll spend $100,000.
we have no introduction of ordinances, we do have one public hearing tonight, ordinance 2024-24. An ordinance amending chapter 7A traffic schedules to create four-way stop intersections at Mine Street and Stangle Road, Mine Street and Park Avenue, and Broad Street and Bloomfield Avenue. Can I have a motion to open up to the public?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Single heart second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open to the public. Anybody wishing to speak on it, please come to the microphone. I need your name and your address, please spell your last name for the record.
It's, Michael Novak, NOVAK, 35 Mine Street, Flemington. And thank you, Mayor and Council, to give me an opportunity to express some concerns that I have with the stop sign situation that's planned, I guess, on Pine Street. I kind of have a question. How did this subject, how did we get to where we are with this? Was it citizen complaints or what's driving this?
So we had a number of citizens coming in complaining. We had an alleged dog on a leash hit in one of the intersections being crossed by their owner. We have also somebody else who said they were swiped by a car as well. We had our traffic consultant look at all of Mine Street for traffic calming. The police have been out with surveying that little sign that has the speed limits people are doing, actually is collecting data. It's been moving around town, checking speed limits that people are doing, and Mine Street has been found to be egregious in speeding in town. More than 2 times the posted speed limit is the average speed. They've done ticket blitzes, given out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tickets and for speeding, and it is not curtailed the speeding on Mine Street at all. By the way, nobody who's actually a Borough of Flemington resident has gotten a speeding ticket on Mine Street, to my knowledge, as of today. But even the ticket blitzes hasn't stopped it, and we did send our traffic consultant out to look at the entire road and what we could do to protect our pedestrians, as well as our bicyclists. And what he recommended to us was the 2 all-way, I'm calling them all-way because they're actually 3-way, not 4-way, but our ordinance is 4-way, which is the code that it's under. So he recommended 3 all-way stops to be done immediately, and then he also recommended these reticulating flashing lights for crosswalks, that people push the button and it flashes like violently bright white lights for people to stop while people are crossing the street. In the future, when we have the money to put those up, because they're expensive, they're hardwired, they're over $36,000, and solar, they're somewhere between 5 and 10. We don't have a price on that yet. But he recommended those on Park Avenue in 3 other locations. So the all-way stops he recommended are the Stangle, and because of the amount of kids after school that cross there, and on the weekends and whatever, the amount of people going back and forth for festivals that park on the side streets, and the all-way at Park Avenue, which is becoming like, I think I can speak for the council. I think we're all worried that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when somebody's really gonna get hurt there. Because even though we removed parking from some of this street to allow more sight distance, it hasn't helped. So we're hoping that the all-way will help, as it has on Williams. And as it has on Church and Brown. Those have been hugely successful to make crossing safe both for cars and pedestrians. And also due to citizens requesting it, he also looked at the Bloomfield Avenue all-way on Broad, also to calm down traffic. This is about calming down traffic. We have a lot of people who use the borough for commuting purposes that don't here. So that's how it happened, and it's been studied by our traffic consultant and blessed by the chief of police.
Okay, so you're saying then that the tickets issued, there was a tremendous amount of tickets issued on Main Street itself?
Yes,
Okay, is there any idea of how many?
I'm sorry, none of the police are here tonight. This is the first time all year we've had a police officer here in every single meeting. And when I need one, he's not here, but I wanna say it's like over 800, like.
I'm looking, I'm actually looking as you're talking.
And none of them live
41 for some
I-
reason sticks in my head.
as a throughway and they zoom past people's homes, like
They're Pennsylvania, they're West County, they're
not
Berry
respecting
Township,
us.
it's not the borough.
Yeah, I'm certainly not here to debate that people aren't speeding, I think they are. I live there, so I
I know.
can tell you that. The concern that I have is that if you look at how things are laid out over there for a good 200 or 300 yards between, between maybe Park Ave and all the way up to Academy. Okay, so there's a lot of junctions there. You got a street, you got Stangle ending there, you got Central Station ending there. You got, I guess we're talking about the four-way with a driveway on one side. I mean, and the regular driveways that are servicing houses, businesses, whatever. So my concern is that if people stop in a say, we would admit that it's a rush hour type situation there with people coming through town, both in the morning and in the evening.
It's all day,
Yeah,
it's all day,
Right.
not, rush hour is particularly
particularly
bad.
bad in those times. So what I'm saying is that if we have stops and people are stopping and it backs up. Okay, it's gonna back up and, pretty much cover the streets. So you've got Stangle, you got people stopped on, say they're stopped on Mine for Stangle at the four-way. And things start backing up. Well, then how do people get out of Central Station? Or how do people get out of their driveway how does traffic keep going? And if you have a stop sign on Central. And it's heading out towards the old Liberty Village there, then that would tend to back up too. Because it's you're gonna slow traffic, yeah, and no question about it, you're gonna slow traffic, but you're gonna cause a jam. Potential jam that would be detrimental, I think, to the businesses and even some of the residences. Like for me to get out of my, if I've got cars sitting in front of me backed up on my driveway, how do I get out? I gotta fight my way out of my own driveway, in essence, potentially, if it gets backed up that much. So those things, in knowing how I feel personally about going to certain towns or places where traffic is a mess and it's a dog, I don't go there. I'm gonna be turned away from maybe going to that area of town or going through that area of town because, it takes 10 minutes to get through there where it never did before. And I was wondering if the council would think about potentially some berms in the road,
Our traffic consultant, really pushes away from those sorts of things. And they're very noisy for residents with people, going boom, boom, boom over them. And our DPW has to plow that,
Right.
and they really don't want them.
Sorry, are you talking about like, not speed bumps, but like bump outs from the, like on Benell Street, right?
well, they're basically speed bumps, but the ones that I've seen in different towns, some of them are more steep and close. Then you're gonna get a boom, boom, boom. If you have kind of like a
The
longer.
mesas, I think that's what they're called. We talked to we talked to our traffic consultant about it, brought that up. And again, it's not gonna stop people, what's happening, especially at Park Avenue. It's just not good, he did not feel that it was enough.
I will say.
So, and Central Avenue is not supposed to get a stop sign, Central Avenue itself has
No
one.
proposal. for
That's
that
one of the
intersection.
ones for one of the reticulating lights where people would press it to cross.
Right, but I'm talking about cars forgetting about pedestrians at the minute, but cars, when they come down Central to mine, they're gonna get backed up. If there is a backup because of the stop signs that are there, it's gonna back up too.
Then they'll go down Fulper and go to Main Street from Fulper.
Well,
If I may,
I-
I live
can I
between
just-
the,
If I have really pushed for it, we have speed tables. I work in a small town in Pennsylvania, very tiny. I drive over them, but even on that, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I slow down to 17 miles an hour. If the speed limit is 25, you never really stop. You just kind of, because you know they're coming and they're slow. And, I mean, they don't even have the sidewalks that we have here in some of those small towns out in Bucks County. But our traffic engineer and our DPW are stressed that that's not, not a good option.
Not a good option.
Even though I've gone over them and they actually have them in front of their fire department, and police department. And I didn't NPD, literally right in front of their fire department. Councilman Weather?
I was gonna say, I live on Park Ave, right between the stop sign on Kapner Street and Court Street. And sometimes, yeah, it gets a little difficult to time it to get out of my driveway once in a while, but I mean, it's not that bad. I know Mr. Rossetti lives on the other side of one of those stop signs, I think, and I mean, Park Avenue has about similar amounts of traffic during peak rush hour. They've got 2 stop signs in the middle of it. I've never seen it get that far. I don't think it's done like halfway down the street.
you know,
And-
now,
If it goes poorly, we can always change it back.
Right.
If it becomes that much of an issue. But I mean, part of the point of it is that, okay, yeah, maybe people will not use the borough as a way to get around. Because we've made it a bit more of a pain to do so. By slowing down the traffic, that's kind of the whole idea of the thing.
Well,
So that's not as convenient to cut through.
I do think, you know, some of the 3 and 4-way stops in certain areas, in certain situations are probably acceptable. Like you've done that on Park Avenue, right?
Broad Street.
Broad Street. So some of that's workable, but again, looking at, I don't know, maybe you guys should take a walk out there one afternoon or something and really see how much of an area we're talking about and what's dumping into that zone. How much has to come into that zone and what the effect of this stop sign will be. I think it's a little, you know, it could be very bad for the town. I mean, from a business perspective, I think we want people to come to the town, hopefully they stop and not just drive through it in the future. And I also wonder about what the effect on Stangle Road you know, on those businesses will be. Because if there's that stop sign there's perpendicular parking not too far from that stop sign. So if those cars back up there into Stangle, if somebody's parked there, how are they gonna back out, or, you know, it's going to have some effect on that also, again, for those businesses right there.
Yeah.
Not alone for whoever else is on that road.
What the chief has indicated to us is, you know, there are a tremendous amount of vehicles going down Route 202 to Ferran Boulevard, to Park Avenue, to Mine Street, and going out to Route 12 via Mine, because it's wide open, it's got cars only on one side of the street, it's a straight shot with nothing to stop them. And, you know, they don't wanna go down to the circle. So, you know, I think, you know, what Councilman Levitt said is accurate. It's gonna hopefully be inconvenient for those people that use the borough's roads, don't shop in our stores and our businesses, just use us as commuters. You know, a lot of them are from Pennsylvania, a huge amount are from West Hunterdon County, west of Flemington Borough, including Raritan Township, and let them go, and it'll be more convenient for them to use Route 12 and stay on Route 12 to Route 202 or Route 12 to Main Street, which is which was at one time a county road. I mean, it was meant for traffic versus
That was
residential.
that was my next question, is, you know, 523. Is that, I mean, isn't it in effect, it's, even though it's not part of 523, the county road, is it not the same thing?
It was 523, it was decommissioned as 523, as 2 generations ago,
Right.
and it's been a borough road ever since.
So I just want to give you some perspective, right, because what Trent was saying. So on a daily basis, we have about 2,100 vehicles passing just Park Avenue on daily. on mine was about 2,800 vehicles passing through it daily. So the bottom line is, and even from the police standpoint, they've monitored this they did the initial study for 30 days, and then they came back and did another study to see what the speed was and all of it. And there is a problem. I mean, as you know, there is a problem, right? And so there has to be something to mitigate that. Personally, when I was actually campaigning this summer, several people on mine complained about the traffic and complained about people almost getting hit. So you gotta mitigate it somehow, right? You gotta mitigate it somehow. It's not, and it kind of goes back to what Trent was saying. Nothing's ever gonna be perfect coming out of the gate, right? So, but we gotta try something. Nothing beats a try but a win, right? So you gotta try something in order to get something, to get some reason to see what the results are gonna look like. If at that point, then it's not gonna work, then it's up to this council to come back, or come back and say, this is not working. We need you guys to kind of take another look at this. You just gotta start something somewhere.
I just want to make sure that I'm taking from both you, Marsh and Trent, because I think I just had like a light bulb. If we're moving the traffic, if this is going to prevent the traffic coming down Main Street in particular, and move them back out to Route 12, then overall the traffic will decrease. So there may be less of an issue with the backing up for people who have a reason to be there. First of all, our residents. We have to get them there. So that would be something that I would want to look to see. As we go forward, I mean,
Hopefully, the count will go
Maybe
down.
compare next year, how many?
Right.
we can
I-
have a count.
I mean, I received,
say by the summer.
I received an email from somebody on Benell Street saying, I'm worried you're gonna put all this traffic on Benell Street. Well, Benell Street's the only street they studied in the study that had no speeding. Because there's so many cars on it
Yeah,
and it's
very
got
tight.
bump outs, it's very tight.
Beautifully.
So it might put more
People
traffic
like-
there and then, I sent his email to our traffic consultant and he immediately wrote back and he said, if it puts more traffic there. He said, I don't think they're gonna speed, but we might have to look at Shields Avenue as an always stop at Benell. So. I just, I mean, yeah, when there's an action, there's generally an equal and opposite reaction and. We're not really sure where the traffic's gonna go. We're hoping that it mitigates the problem of not having somebody get seriously injured trying to cross our streets.
Because at the end of the
I just,
It's not residents that are doing rape, it's people who are coming in town. And when you're saying they will stop or whatever, they don't. Because if we got 2,100 people or 2,800
They're
people,
sure not our sort of street.
they're not stopping, right? So I'm not sure that I would buy into that argument, but the bottom line is that there is a problem. And we've got to mitigate the risk. Well, go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry.
yeah, I just wanted to add just for perspective, because I do live in between two stop signs on Park Avenue and it's equally very busy here. And it's actually to my benefit getting out of the driveway when cars are a bit backed up because they're moving slow enough that I can kind of go and they'll let me in and then we keep moving. Whereas people hit the stop sign and then speed up to the next stop if there's no lag. And you can't get out. I sit there sometimes 10 or more minutes, literally 10 minutes. I'm not exaggerating, just trying to back out because there's so many people whizzing by. So it's actually important that we slow it down to get in and out of the driveways easier. And then beyond that though, too, whether it takes me 5 minutes or 1 minute or 10 minutes to get out of my driveway, I walk up around mine constantly. And I mean, I've been hit, not literally hit, but almost hit, what I'm trying to say, I've seen it happen. And you got to remember that, the pedestrians, I'd much rather wait 5 or 10 minutes to get out of my driveway than hear about someone getting hit crossing the road. So that's a perspective that, I wanted to keep in mind as well. That it really is dangerous. And it is often Pennsylvania driving license plates who are speeding around. So, just to put it into perspective, with the stop signs here, I actually prefer the backup.
Yeah, just in closing, I guess we're on the verge of having that development at the other end of Central Station where the village is. So there's gonna be a lot more cars than there is now locally, just for those people coming down to try to get out of town using that junction at Mine Street and Central Station. So that's one thing to think about. That's that's coming. And, you know, but maybe they'll go out towards Main Street or whatever, but maybe they'll just move a problem somewhere else, but. And then the other issue is, I just think that, we should, you know, give some thought about, looking at this again. You know, maybe if you, would have another view of, this, take a look at what happens.
Of course.
If you guys pass this, you know, what's, if, you know, somebody's gonna have to give you a report of what's going on over there. And, you know, to see if it's better, maybe, who knows, or worse. I would just be concerned from the business owners. You know, people who have their businesses, who do count on local people or generally local people to come there and park and get to their pizza place or get to their hair salon, you know, they're gonna say, oh boy, you know, this isn't fun. You know, what's gonna take 20 minutes to get to the hair salon? So those are the things that, you know, that I would be very concerned about. And lastly, what about enforcement? I mean, I, you know, living there, I haven't seen personally, I'm not gonna dispute your figures, but I don't think I've ever seen on Main Street in the last months, anybody get a ticket. Now, maybe I'm missing it, maybe I don't see it, but I haven't seen much police protection there or patrols there. They used to sit at Burkett's, never see them doing that. So I just question whether or not there's that many tickets or citations or whatever that have been issued on that street. And lastly, noise. Talk about noise, traffic noise. I don't know if the police have ever thought about issuing summonses or citations for people running with no mufflers and running straight exhaust.
We have those problems, they have to be able to catch them.
Well, I gotta tell you, maybe I should volunteer. Because it goes
It
up.
has to be witnessed, so if you call in a license plate, you
With
have to be able,
Errol.
you have to be able
They have,
to.
they have to.
And you know, it's an open vehicle and I'm pretty sure that's a ticket.
Uh-huh.
Because it can't pass
It
inspection.
is, but somebody has to witness it, so either you have to do it as a civil complaint,
Right,
or the police have to catch them,
Right.
that's the issue.
well, that's my point. You know, I mean, especially in the morning, there's a couple of guys that come through there, and I kid you not, you could probably hear them a mile away. That's how bad it is. That's terrible. And again, we're missing, that's a quality of life issue,
Yeah,
and it's an income issue for the town.
if they come through at this, like roughly the same time every morning.
Yeah, I was
let
gonna
the
ask
police
that
know,
question.
They can post a cop there to see if they can catch them.
So is it in the morning or is it in the afternoon?
Sitting at Burkett's for a while, especially in
I don't
the
know.
experience holidays and.
Well, they are gonna be out,
They're
they are
gonna
gonna be
be
out,
out.
but hold on, is it more in the morning or is it in the afternoon, is it like
It's
school? Is it-
pretty much all day, but
Oh,
all I
the
can
muffler
tell you is
problem is-
in the morning,
Okay,
6 o'clock in the morning, somebody comes through there and it's, you know, the Black River and Western would be jealous of how much noise it makes.
It's Monday through Friday, it's like somebody commuting.
it's not on the weekend?
Who knows? I'm just saying in the morning. And one last thing, I do think that street is used, Main Street is used for a lot of commuters coming from Pennsylvania and other places for the hospital. You know, those people, I would say a fair amount of those people coming down that street may be heading to their jobs at our medical center.
We don't know, they could be going to the high school, we don't know where they're going.
Right, but I'm just saying that.
We just know they're not our residents.
Right, and they're Pennsylvania plates, they could be teachers, they could be anybody,
Right.
but I do think the hospital is a destination.
The one thing I just did want to comment on is our traffic consultant that studied this for us and made these recommendations is also the planning board's traffic consultant. So when Liberty Village comes through, it's a valid point to make sure that when he does his comments on their traffic study, that it's taking into consideration what's happening now on Main Street with a new three-way stop and at Stengel, and not necessarily the one at Park, but the one at Stengel, so.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to hear me out, and maybe we'll chat again depending on what goes.
Look, this is a big flop, let's see the first 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And I will make sure that the police are monitoring the noise thing, because
Oh my God.
I've never heard that before, so
Oh.
I'll talk to him tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else from the public wishing to comment on ordinance 24-24? Okay, state your name and address for the record.
Bob Major, GENTRY, owner of Burkett Supply, 37 Main Street. Mike and I are neighbors. We agree on most things, very good neighbors, one another. Just about everything has been gone over what I wanted to say, but still like to have my time. First, I would applaud the efforts of police to enforce speeding violations. I think they could do more. I live off in Delaware Township. We have just as many, those commuters that are probably coming up on Main Street, most of them are probably coming up 523. We have police to enforce it. We give tickets. And my question to Councilman Parker would be, what, and I think you've given me the answer, but I had written it down prior, that was the traffic study done on Park Avenue only, or was it done on Main Street as well?
Mine and Mark,
Okay.
yes.
And Broad
And-
and
Okay.
But no.
a whole bunch of
And,
streets.
and they're continuing to do studies throughout town with, like, on Pennsylvania, on
North Main
So
Street.
then my other question was, which you answered, was how did the board come to the conclusion that Park and Mine and Stangle would be the two parking spots?
Our traffic consultant made that recommendation.
You explained that.
Can
No
I,
problem.
can I add though, something that nobody else has mentioned is that we have a traffic committee.
It's a parking
And,
committee.
sorry, parking committee, but this proposal came from that committee.
Did they ever contact any like residents of Main Street, like business owners or anything like
We
that?
did.
The vast amount of complaints we've had who've been near hit or hit
Yeah.
are from Mike Street.
Okay. Because I've been down there 52 years, you know, Marcia, I probably have
know.
more history than anybody in this
I
building.
know.
So, the solution isn't you can't solve every problem with the same solution. And I read the report, and I agree that Broad and William Street, it worked out
I
well.
did.
But I believe the major problem still is the traffic flow, which Mike keeps bringing up. And, you know, you said it 5 or 6 times. It's 31, the Foran, the Park, the Mine, the 12. If we can make a song out of it, that's what it is. And you know, water will find its own level, and it has. And you're not gonna stop that traffic flow, because this is Mike said, there might be people going to the hospital, it could be teachers. I mean, we're just not here for the residents of the borough of Flemington, because I can tell you, I was in business for 52 years, the business was 113 years old. If I only had to rely on borough of Flemington residents, I'd have been out of business a long time ago. So I didn't mind getting the customers from Ringo's and Frenchtown and Milford and Erwinia. But saying that, and I read the traffic study and I did the calculation and pretty much what you came up with, which was 2,100 cars a day turning on from Park. And you know, we don't have to even monitor it. You know, they're making a right-hand turn on the Mine. They're not on the Main because they wouldn't have to go to Park to get the Main. They could just do that at the bottom of Foran. Then you have to add the cars that are coming from Main Street up Mine, off of Main. So that's gonna add. And then you gotta kind of compress it into the hours. It's not 24 hours. I know that counters count 24 hours. It's pretty much 12. 6 to 6, 7 to 7. So that makes an even bigger increase. I will tell you, in 52 years that I ran a retail store in Flemington, during the 80s and 90s, and I learned a lot about business from people like Marcia's father, George Muller, Sid Benjamin. And I know that Sid Benjamin and George Muller together had their own traffic cop, the policeman to direct traffic, so that there was good traffic flow, so people would come to Flemington, leave and come back. My dad and I used to sit in front of the Burkett's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on any given Saturday, when the height of the Liberty Village was going in the 80s and 90s, and that traffic was already backed up. And I would say to my dad, that father in that car is not coming back, because he's going to be heading down to Main Street, which is another 20 minutes to get to the end of Main Street. Then he's got to figure out how the hell to get out of town. And it's going to happen because Liberty Village is closed, you have a development, you're going to have the same amount of people every day, just not on the weekends. So here again, traffic flow is really going to be the main problem. And I'm glad that you understand that if this doesn't work, that it can be reversed. Now, it could be a little selfish because we have approved project, 37 Mine Street. And I can tell you that the town anointed my property as historical. And you know, I couldn't give my business away in Flemington. I couldn't give it away. And it was a 1960s redo. It had nothing to do with historical value at all. And I was not even given a postcard or a call to talk about it. I'm very bitter about that, but I went ahead. And Jim, who's in the audience with us, we have an approved project that's only gonna increase a new facelift on Main Street, but you're gonna get a lot more tax revenue out of that piece of property than you're presently getting. So, we are concerned, we, just as Mike's our neighbor, and, we are concerned that the traffic, we won't allow our 6 townhouses, 4 apartments and 2 retail stores. It could be an issue. Here again, hopefully if it becomes an issue, we can revisit you back on the traffic signs. Because it changes the value of what we're trying to do with the property. And, while it's not being developed at this point, I have plenty of frontage. If you'd like to put the sign, we have electronic sign out there, you know, about slowing traffic down. You're welcome to put it on in front of our building. We've got plenty of frontage there. We have a sidewalk plus the other proportion.
Yeah, nice offer.
That's, you know, so you're welcome to put up there because I've allowed Stangle overflow traffic in my yard for the 4 years that I've been closed. I could have easily put a chain up, easily, but I wouldn't do it because they know how that affected Marcia and George. And one other thing that, when I closed, one of the first things that the town did was put no parking in front of my place. Now, this is where Mike and I disagree, because, and I know that you had that traffic taken away from Main Street, but if those cars are still on Main Street from Park to my place. So there's traffic before you get to park, and there's traffic after you get past my place you can park. So that just gives people an opportunity to speed up a little bit, so maybe we should revisit it, whether or not there should be parking in front of that.
Well, that was looked at by our traffic consultant, and so he said it was really not safe, and the turning radius, I think one of those areas was the turning radius for Central Station, and then the site distance from Park Avenue.
We had 52-foot tractor trailers go in that driveway for my appliance deliveries. We never had an issue, never. And in fact, Robin made the comment that after we closed the store, the traffic at Burkett's wasn't there, which at the time, sometimes because of the activity that was going on there, that did slow traffic down. So I appreciate your time.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm just not sure where we're going with this. So are you proposing that you don't want any stop signs at all? I'm just trying to understand where.
Well, I think 2 within 500 feet is more than we need. I maybe would agree that taking the one on Park in mind, but not on Stangle in mind. And I'll tell you another reason, because we had quietly, I was very involved with the car show for years, behind the scenes. And I thought when we had it at Stangle, it was one of the better car shows, because first we had a brewery, we had a coffee place, we had shops, we had an ice cream parlor, and the police didn't want it there after that because of the perpendicular parking. And just as like Mike said, that traffic's gonna be backing up on Stangle, and you're, I mean, I have a new car, so I have a camera, but the average person is, you're not gonna be able to get out. And so I appreciate your time, I know what the effort is, but I hope that we can revisit this if there is an issue with our project.
If there is an issue with the situation on Main Street, we'll be revisiting it. If it's just your project, I'm not sure how to respond to that, but
Yeah.
you know, hopefully it's gonna do the fix that our traffic consultant.
And I, you know, I delved into the master plan, which you put back up, you know, on the shelf for a while, but you know, the master plan is to put people in the streets and on Main Street.
But they've gotta be able to walk safely.
Okay, well,
Okay.
cars don't go on the sidewalks.
So,
Yeah, and yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That flow is always gonna be, it was always Stangle, it was always Liberty Village, Stangle, Main to Main. That's what the plan always was. And every, you know, committee we were on, and all the organizations that we started with the bid, with the Slack Rack, with Hal Bloodsworth and George Muller, with the Cut Glass, Sid Benjamin, and Liberty Village people, and that was before Stangle. I mean, we had Fallscraft over there, but we didn't have what George has created over there, so. As I say, 52 years in Flemington, retail's been in my blood, and take advantage of it. If you need, have some information, I'll be more than glad to give it to you, because I got a lot of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public wanting to comment on ordinance 2024-24?
Okay. 3 minutes, right?
No, not a public hearing.
Oh. Okay, well, I don't need a lot of time, but I do wanna say that you are so sorely missed. I know I'm really supposed to talk to you, but Burkett's is really sorely missed, and my experience of sitting at Central Station trying to make a left or a right, because I do go both ways. You know, there's a lot of traffic going by, and when you were in operation, there was so much less whizzing traffic and it was so much less chaotic. Mostly because you were outside your store accepting the delivery, waving to people, talking to somebody. It was, you know, a very different vibe than with those vacancies. And that really is what happens with vacancies, and having worked in places that did very intentional traffic calming. When your stores are full and when you have more housing on main streets or busy streets, everything slows down and people find a different cut through. It's like the water that goes wherever you want it to go. So, I trust that when there's more activity at the bookend of mine and Stangle, that we will have to revisit, traffic flow, because we'll also have more traffic with Liberty Village and with Stangle. You know, I think we're gonna have more growth, which hopefully calms traffic, but these are things we're going to have to revisit. But I am confused. You said Park and Mine, which is not being discussed, right?
There is a typo still in the ordinance.
Yes, there is a typo in the ordinance.
The one I pointed out last.
Well, the ordinance says Mine Street and Bloomfield Avenue.
Yeah.
That's the
Am I
typo.
crazy?
That's the typo I pointed out.
Okay, but
Yeah.
Park and Mine was not,
We amended it publicly.
okay, Park and Mine was not discussed as a place to put this stop sign. Right?
When?
It was never discussed.
Park and Mine?
Yeah,
Park and Mine has been discussed for
Okay.
months.
but it's not on here.
It's in-
Where is it on here?
Typo is still on the ordinance.
But
So
was
where it
amended
says,
Publicly
We
last.
amended
okay,
it.
so where it says Mine and Bloomfield, it should say Park and Mine.
Right, so there's
Okay.
3 always going up in this ordinance.
Got it.
One is Mine and Stangle, one is Mine and Park, and one is Broad and Bloomfield.
Okay. Okay, I mean, I yield to your traffic experts and everyone else. I think that, I'm sure when there's a building full of people and townhouses and apartments and 2 more retail operations, we'll have to reconsider everything. You know, we would also like to reconsider, Church Street going across to Stangle at some point in the future, which was actually an idea from the past. So, you know, I think there's lots of opportunities. The real point is that we have to just have better conversations with each other about all of these things. So I'm hoping this is the beginning of making positive changes and more conversations with each other, with the FCP.
For the cars to park.
What?
And finding places for the cars to park.
Sure.
Which has been
Parking.
one of the key focuses of the parking committee.
Yes,
So that's been almost like an addendum to it,
yes,
but with all of the cars and all of the business where they park in.
absolutely. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public have any comments on 2024-24? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2024-24? Thank you, good night.
Long move.
Is there a second?
Sarah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I have a motion to approve and adopt ordinance 2024-24? Is there a second? Engelhardt seconded, Levitt moved. Any other discussion?
I just had a quick question, and I guess not being part of the parking committee or any of that. And I don't know who would have this answer, but just, and our friends left, but to kind of give a little peace of mind, like hearing these concerns. How soon after these stop signs go up, do we know? Would we be able to answer the question of, okay, is this working?
I think that's a chief question for him to monitor what's happening. You know, Jay, our traffic consultant made recommendations. You know, he went out, he surveyed the entire street. I can share his written report, which is just basically one page, and it says, because originally on the parking committee, we had talked about Central Avenue and Park Avenue having the stops, and Stengel being the push button light for pedestrians. When Jay went out and looked at it, he put in a written report saying Central to Park is too close. It should be Stengel, even though Central may need it a little bit more, but they're just too close for having the stop signs, and to push it out to Stengel. And then he recommended the flashing cross lights at Walnut Brook, at Central, and at, can't remember if it was Academy or Dewey, forgive me, it was one or the other. And he also recommended, he looked and he recommended that all three of those locations needed to have the ADA sidewalks put in at that time when we do those lights. And the crosswalk down at Walnut Brook was all broken up, and the whole thing needed to be redone. So in conversation with Remington Vernick, as they're getting us grants to do Mine Street, and we're getting iBank loans hopefully to do sewer and water lines on Mine Street, sidewalks will get put in there as well at those crosswalk areas so that we can get those repaired and get them ADA compliant. So so that's, you know, that's as far as he went. The question is for the chief is that, for him to be monitoring what's happening with these, with backups, with, are more people now on, Route 12? Are we seeing more cars there? Are we seeing more speeding on Route 12? Like, what's happening? And it's really a police question. And I don't think we should, give him a timetable, because as Robin said, things are gonna change as businesses open or Liberty Village finishes or whatever. Like, Liberty Village could take 2 years to finish building out, or 3 years, and we really don't know,
So what would be like the general, just from your experience in government? Like, I think Jeremy, it's a good question. Do we say next summer? Do we say?
I say we just tell Chief Monitor, tell us, give us.
I think as soon as you put the stop signs in, you can start monitoring. Because the point of it is, there's no need to wait.
Yeah.
The point of it is, anytime that something is new.
I'm a big
You know
fan
what
of
I mean?
this, so
So-
I
so-
want
and
people
again,
safe
it's-
walking.
Again, it's over communicating and not under communicating, so I think as soon as they go in, the directive is that. Start monitoring and maybe even look at. Cause you can get down granular, right? You can get down and say, okay, I'm gonna monitor this once a week. Or you can say, I'm gonna monitor this and I'm gonna see what days might be more, have more traffic than other days. And then, so you can't just look at it like this, you gotta get granular if you're gonna do it right. And then have them come back and say, here's what my recommendation is. Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, that's.
Right, and so the only way to know is to be granular about it and just be really, really anal about it and see what, whether it's days, maybe it's not. We may be surprised and see that Saturday is busier than Mondays, right? I mean, it could be that. It could be Sundays are just as busy because it's church. The Catholic Church and the whole bit, and so now what does that
I
do?
also think that if the public knew that there were gonna be 2 people in opposition here tonight, we would have had 100 people in favor of this. And I, just speaking from personal experience, before we put the 4-way at William Street and Broad, I hadn't been on William Street driving west to east in probably 10 years because it was so dangerous. I haven't driven north to south on Park Avenue in probably 4 years. Because trying to make a turn onto mine is so dangerous. I mean, I'll drive
It's
my
also
street.
dangerous to cross it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
but I
majorly
don't fit my
dangerous.
car. So I can only imagine how unsafe pedestrians around here with dogs, or just people who
Yeah.
are walking around the fields.
But maybe it's more than just the stop sign itself, maybe it's the proximity of where stop signs are being placed as well, because that could also be an issue, right?
Which I think should be addressed
In
by
terms of turning out, in
yeah.
terms of all that, I'm not taking anything away from the traffic study or anything like that. But I'm just saying that if you're gonna do that, you gotta look at everything, and so. Is it that that's not as effective as having it down further or having it closer, or what, I don't know what the answer
Well, I
is.
mean,
Yeah, I think it's important that we monitor right away, because that's, I mean, I agree with what the gentleman said about, like, you know, as things change over the years and it's an ever evolving situation, but the key is we have a problem right now, right? So we have to do something right now and hope it fixes it right now. And then if another problem pops up in a few years when things are built and stores come back in, you fix it again then, right? But right now there's a problem we have to deal with, so.
It's evolving.
And Jay did look at the entire, like, you know, we, the council and myself asked that the parking committee asked Jay to look at solutions for all of these problems on all of my street, and Jay did, he went from, you know, from the circle all the way down to me, he looked at the entire street. And this was these were his best recommendations, but he also acknowledged today to me, you know, regarding this gentleman on Bunnell, who was concerned that now more traffic was gonna start coming down Bunnell Street, that it's possible people will use Bunnell. I mean, it's a much more complicated street to drive down, but he acknowledged that we might have to look at Shields and Bunnell, so, you know.
Of course, everything's gonna change.
Right,
Everything's
but
gonna
hopefully
shift.
people go on, you know, the commuters
But people will
that are
figure
flying
it
through
out.
here will go on
People
Route
will
12.
figure
Wants
it
to
out.
say anything, but something that I'm enjoying this conversation in public, because it's how we work together, right? I'm enjoying this.
Thank you, because as a member of the traffic committee,
Parking committee.
sorry, parking committee.
It's more, but it's still.
It's, yeah,
more,
you
but
named it the parking committee
Yes.
originally, but
it's
it's
doing so
been,
much more,
it's
yes.
been much more, and I appreciate that opportunity to sit on that, because I think we have gotten a lot done on that committee. So whatever we call it, as a member of it, I don't necessarily think these two gentlemen were opposed to it. I wanna make that clear. I think that, and I'll be honest with you, my biggest question when we were going through this process was, how close the two were to each other, and we all were concerned about that. And I think that's where they were. But number one, we all came to the conclusion that signs and paint are cheap.
Right.
And signs and paint can be easily changed, pretty easily, pretty quickly. So I'm not as concerned about it.
Staples of
Right,
failure.
and one of the things that we did not mention as well is when Jay, the committee, you know, met and we said, okay, Jay made his recommendations, and one of the recommendations was Central. He actually had he kind of changed of heart, he emailed all of us, said, you know what? I'm gonna recommend this instead, and one of the things we all didn't mention during this conversation was one of the reasons why he recommended Stengel in mind was because of the angled intersection that it comes to, so that particular
That's Stengel in
view.
mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that for those particular view triangles, as you're you're basically rolling into mine if you're coming north on Stengel. So that was one of the concerns, and what that did was that spread the two stop signs out. I know my fellow colleagues on the parking committee,
Yes.
parking committee, would agree with me that I actually, it was my idea to recommend the crossing over by the church. And one of my recommendations was, just like we're doing with Broad, how we're kind of breaking it up 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, so that you know, that traffic slows. That's one of the reasons why I asked for Jay to look at the intersection by the church. He recommended the flashy crosses, but yeah, I would still love to see a stop sign there, you know,
It's awfully close to the circle. I think that.
I understand, and that's why I understand why he recommended that. But the point is, we've made a lot of these recommendations over the last 12 months. And all of which so far have been successful. One of these times we're gonna hit a miss. And we're going to, but that's what's the beauty of this, is that it's pretty easy to change. And we could always either bump it up or bring it back. But I do appreciate their feedback and them coming tonight. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that they were completely opposed. They were just expressing some concerns, but to be honest with you, some of their concerns were.
Personal property.
Well, yeah, and I think some of the concerns, like, Mr. Gentry is comment about he's a retail guy, and, you know, retail, we know more, you know, slower traffic and more feet on the street is a good thing for retail. So some of their comments were actually, kind of a little contradictory, but in a good way.
I
So-
think it really was about getting in and out of different.
Absolutely.
I think the guy is really concerned.
And
You know what?
valid.
And I'm gonna give it to him. If I were on that street and you were doing, I would be concerned. It doesn't mean that
Right.
it doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. It just means that I am concerned that it may.
So
happen.
one of the thing
And
that
it's gonna
drove me on
change what
this.
I have to do.
Yeah, and
The
I
thing
think
that's driven me on this parking
Yeah.
issue is that I walk the streets. My dog's groomer is on that section behind State Road.
Mhm.
It is easier for me to walk in torrential rain, even though it floods, to get my dog there than it is to drive in that area. On a Saturday morning, picking him up at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it's easier for us to walk through torrential rain, even though that's flooding down there, and get him there than it is to drive my car. You try and make a left out or right, or go on Academy, right? And it's just as difficult to make a left coming out here, right? It's very, I've got a small car. I don't sit up high in the, you know, with big wheels on a truck. So I am happy we don't have the parking has made it easier, restricting some of the parking, but I do think of it as a gentleman, Mr. Mr. Novak was very, like, I think that that's a genuine reason, and I will always appreciate the feedback we get from the community, homeowners, businesses. That's why we're here, is to listen to them, right?
And I think that they were open, like I don't, like I said, I think they weren't necessarily opposed, they just said, you know what, we're concerned, but we're willing to work with you and see how it
Sounds
works
like
out.
it's the spatial part of it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be, I
So
think it's
if
gonna be okay.
it breaks something, we have room, nothing, it's easy to fix, like.
It's more comforting if we say we will take a look at it, but going back, I do think it's something that the chief needs to start monitoring as soon as it happens.
Well, they'll have a cop out there just reminding people that there's now extra stop signs that they did at Williams and they did at Church. So they'll be out there as soon as stop signs go up.
I almost ran through, I was so excited to see them. I almost ran through the mile on Friday, as they were putting it up, so.
As they were putting.
It's always a shock, and I was just so happy.
So, if there's no other discussion, can I have no other discussion? Okay, have a roll call, please, Chris.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes,
Councilwoman Pissarro,
Yes,
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Pizzetti.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, under the regular agenda, resolution 2024-162, award of contract to Revax Contracting Corp., 165 River Road, Flemington, for the Main Street Roadway Improvement Project in the amount of $633,911.50. This project actually started this morning. So can I have a motion to approve?
Long will move.
Is there a second?
sorry.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt.
yes,
Councilwoman Pissarro,
Yes,
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Pizzetti.
Yes.
So, the street is gonna be closed daily, just south of Church Street, so the Church Street light will be open for Flemington business, traffic through the holidays. And then after 1st of January, they will be working at the intersection and closing that for a few days as they, dig the trench for our future sewer lines. So just stay tuned for announcements on all of that. Resolution 2024-163, resolution authorizing the Borough Special Projects Engineer Robert Martucci, P. to apply to the State Historic Preservation Office for well number 11 improvements on 200 Main Street Block 42 Lot 9 in Flemington Borough, Hunter County, New Jersey. Can I have a motion to approve?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Parker says.
Any discussion?
Just curious, could you explain why, the State Historic Preservation Office and a well, what's the relation?
In the historic.
It's in the historic
It's in the
district,
district.
correct, so we need to get that over with before we get to the point where we're ready to start actually putting this well in, because we saw how long it took Academy
Yeah.
Street, I'm sorry, William Street to not, just to get a, what's the word, you know, to not have to study it. It took 3 months alone. If they really want us to study it, it's gonna take a year, so.
It actually is very similar to what, Mr. Gentry, said. He actually misspoke. He said that they made my building historic, and what they just did was recognize that his property sits
In the district,
within the bounds of the
Yeah.
historic district. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
And that's exactly the case with this site.
Correct.
The site is in the historic district. That doesn't mean that the well site is
Or anything else,
historic.
right,
That's
right,
why,
right.
that's
That-
why.
that's-
we need to get a
yeah.
waiver from the deed base for it,
Okay.
SHPO. Okay, roll call please.
Councilman Hayward,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rosetti.
Yes. Resolution 2024-164, resolution to renew, with our joint insurance fund. They're really pushing to have this done before the end of the year. It was like kind of a last minute thing. Carla thought we could do it in January, the reorg, and they, wanted it done now. So can I have a motion to, approve resolution 2024-164? Is there a second?
Sorrow second.
Any discussion? Roll call please.
Councilman Hayward,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rosetti,
Yes.
Thank you. And resolution 2024-165, resolution appointing fund commissioner for the 2025 fund year again. They're pushing this, and that's it. I mean, there's nothing else to say. Can I have a motion to
So
approve?
wait a minute, what is this about?
So every joint insurance fund has a fund commissioner representative to go to their meetings, and it had been Michael Humphrey, and, I've done this sort of thing in the past, and actually, so this is appointing me as the fund commissioner and you, Councilman Parker, as my backup, in case I can't make a meeting.
Okay.
When there's been nobody representing us in the borough, as far as I can tell, for probably 3 years.
But it says here that,
That's copies.
Carla is gonna be hereby appointed as by the attorney. What is that?
Yeah, it says that Carla's the
Carla's
backup.
gonna be the-
Carla?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Mine
Alternate,
said
yeah.
Tony.
It's the alternate, yeah.
It was gonna be you.
It says Carla.
I don't,
That's what. I
Chris
meant.
sworn it was you. We can amend this right now because it's just a resolution.
Okay.
Do you wanna do that or? you wanna-
No, I don't know what the protocol is, but I'm just saying,
Well, the council appoints, so
either way. it's fine with me. Okay.
Well, this is related.
I don't
to
know
the-
where their meetings are. I mean, I'm planning on driving where they are. I don't know where this.
I don't know where
state
Statewide
farm
meets.
meets. I have no
I
idea.
don't know what it means, I can't believe you've been unrepresented for 3
I've
years.
represented for years. Nobody's been
I-
on our joint.
She's
So
never-
why, but is this like a law, or is this just something that?
So part of, when you have an agreement with them, you sign like an indemnity agreement that affords you the opportunity to be represented on their board of commissioners, which you should take because they make decisions about how much
Right.
money you pay.
Exactly.
The claims, your own claims, whether to pay on your claims, right?
Yeah.
I have a relationship with Statewide, they're good people, and I'm shocked that we never had it. You know what you just said?
No, I-
So
Yeah.
has this never come up? I'm just trying to understand why we never had.
So I'm making an assumption that when Mike Humphrey became administrator, Betsy stepped off, but she had not been going, because she had, a full-time job and couldn't go. And
It was also COVID,
Mike
so
was
who
not
knows?
going, right? Mike was not going, and then
Electronic.
his name never came off the list. They never, as far as I know,
So
they
he
never,
was the alternate?
he was our,
Oh, he was the
he
representative.
was the rep. And then statewide didn't necessarily know that he was gone. And, and then, like a few months ago, I said to Carla, don't they have a commission, like, there should be a commission.
Mayor, you and I spoke with Carolyn Combo, who runs that shift.
Yeah.
Many times,
and
I saw her a week and a half ago,
I mean,
and she never
I've been
mentioned.
commissioner
it,
before
so.
for other municipalities, and so she called statewide, and they were like, yeah, it's Mike Humphrey and Betsy Driver. And she was like, I think Betsy was the
So
alternate.
they don't send something to find out who, like, updated?
They should have,
Every year they should.
they should have, but as far as I know, they did not. I mean, when I became administrator in Middlesex Borough, their joint insurance fund hunted me down like a dog.
That's what they usually do.
They hunted me down like a dog to go on their commission.
Oh, no, I'll be more than happy to do it.
All right, let's amend this
Okay,
resolution
so
then.
motion is amended.
Which is, yeah, can I have a motion to amend the agenda to make Councilman Parker the alternate?
I'll move.
Is there a second? Sarah, second, okay. Any other discussion on this resolution? Roll call, please.
Councilman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilman Pissarro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
President Wong,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Bezek.
Yes.
And the thing is, a lot of people think this insurance is really boring, but you're talking about so much money
Yeah, I don't
and
think-
representation.
It's very.
And, just knowing the inner workings, like I can tell you the joint insurance fund that Middlesex Borough had was phenomenally good. And it's because I went to every monthly meeting and I saw how good they were. I think that Statewide's really good,
I have a good relationship
but
with Statewide.
I really wanna see how they run their meetings. I think it's really important. And how they give out claims and
Interesting for 2 years, they never tried.
at least, I think it's probably at least 3. But like, as the councilwoman said, COVID was happening too, so who knows? It's passed, so we'll just move on to keep fixing stuff, right? Okay, you have a work session or the public comment session number 2. 3 minutes, do you have any comments you want to make?
I'll take 1 minute.
Okay,
Okay. First of all, I wanted to ask, those gentlemen how they learned about this, because they did write to me about the parking and the changes, but I also wanted to commend you, Councilman Parker, for, whoever included this parking
Marcia
update.
did.
Marcia.
Mayor did.
Well, then kudos to the mayor, because I think this really is really helpful, because I don't necessarily, we know it's hard for people to follow everything the council does, even though I come to every meeting and enjoy it. So having this, if it doesn't get
I
reported,
didn't get a byline on it, huh?
what's that?
I didn't get a byline on it.
I didn't,
No.
I
Well, you
didn't
just
see,
did.
well, it does actually say a message from the mayor. at the top.
Well, okay,
But then it
I really
does
didn't
say
know.
Flemington Borough Parking Committee update, so. So
And
anyway.
Councilwoman Engelhardt didn't.
Actually, I brought up that, but it's well done, and I did wanna say that, I don't think it was last year, but it might have been last year, we applied for the AARP funding.
Yes.
Yes,
It
and
was
we
last
asked
year.
for traffic lights,
Yes.
at Church and Main Street. And we had a.
Lights or the
Uh,
crosswalk flashing lights?
What you, yeah. the-
Articulating
the
RRFDs.
noising- Yes, yes, the appropriate, ADA compliant blinking, noise making. And we especially said because of the senior residents and trying to get it, it's very, very busy over there, to try to get safe passageway to Main Street for the seniors who live over there. We didn't get the grant, and there were a lot of other people a lot of other boroughs wrote for exactly the same thing. They did get it, so they did. The AARP grants are crazy competitive, so I don't think we wrote the best grant, because we were kind of,
I thought it was a last minute thing. If I remember correctly, it was a last minute thing. I remember receiving something and I sent it over and said, we should do this. And it was a very last minute thing, so that's probably why we didn't get the grant.
Yeah.
And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying that it was a last minute effort.
we were
But
we were
that doesn't
kind of
mean that we shouldn't try it
spitballing.
again.
Yeah, we were kind of spitballing on what we might need and how much it would cost, and we hadn't really. But we did do a little research at that time about how much those cost, and they do pay for. AARP does pay for that kind of light and blinky crosswalk things.
I think
And
we
there-
should just look for it again.
Yeah, so we
But
should,
Joe Biden also has, I think they have grant money available for
Right,
it
but
too.
AARP had this, it was a pretty significant, yes, no, it was, and then.
And do they do this every year?
I
Yes.
remember seeing it in Hudson. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I'll look and see. The point of it is, that I remember bringing it up and saying we're gonna go for this.
I mean, Tara said to me, are you really married to Hardwired? And I said, are the solar metal and sturdy? And she said, yeah, they're totally, and they're
Yeah.
cemented in and,
Oh, cheaper.
and it's a third of the price. I mean, we could get the three we need for the price of one if we go hardwired. And I said, my only concern is, you know, what happens if there's, you know, a ton of snow on top of the solar thing and, you know, where we have a bunch of great days, and she's like, we're gonna contact the chief of police in Clinton, they've had it for 2 years, and they've got data.
So we have a lot of solar stuff out around the backyard. It's really not an issue. It's really not an issue, you know why? Because the sun still, and I'm not, believe me, I'm not
The
an
light
engineer or anything.
still.
But for some reason, the sun still is able to get to the mechanism. We've never had a problem. Never.
So I mean, all I care about is that it's not, like the solar ones aren't plastic and the hardwired
No,
ones are
well,
metal,
that-
and she's like,
No,
no,
we
they're
don't
the
want it to
same.
be cheap.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, we want them to last.
They use them in, I mean, Provincetown went all solar with
Yeah.
all of our stuff.
Well, she said that they gave money to, the Clinton was the first one that got them, and they went solar. Frenchtown just got an award, and they're putting something down in Frenchtown, and she told me another municipality, but I can't remember which one, but it was South County, I just can't remember.
Go 100 is giving the money for it.
Apparently, they gave them or helped them get grant money for it. They gave the money to, I believe.
There's our answer.
And she said, well, that's why they're coming here. They're coming here, our first real meeting in January. They're coming here to do business.
So the only thing we have to check, cause I don't remember if we did it, was to pass the resolution being
You had to
a,
pass it.
Okay, we did
Senior-
pass it.
we-
okay, then,
For some
then,
reason, I think, I know, I
Senior
remember
what?
the meeting, we did pass,
Yeah.
we did pass something about senior.
We have to
yeah,
pass that.
senior
My-
friendly
My second,
community.
But
Yeah,
that's what
but
I'm trying to say to you, is that.
it's
that
connected
is
to
tied
that.
To that,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, all right, so I think if the police or the traffic engineer wanna give us better information about what it is we're actually asking for, I think we could write a stronger
They
grant.
have the data now, they definitely have the data.
There we go. So I'll just look at the deadline again and see when it comes up.
but if you're writing, this is just for the Church Street light?
That
Because if
was,
you're writing one for that and you want it hardwired, like that whole intersection is gonna get redone
it would,
before
well,
June.
I think
That'll
that,
be part of it.
yeah, I
Does it have to
think,
be hardwired?
no.
No,
I
it's
think the
all-
No,
preference-
I'm asking for the grant, does it have to
Oh,
be hardwired?
No, the movable ones are actually, they do have movable ones
Do
where
we
you
want,
can,
we don't want that.
where you can kind of put them in some place to sort of demo, you know, as a demonstration.
Yeah,
Um,
something cemented into the ground, metal, steel, whatever.
Well,
We know that,
let's
like,
just check
part
into
two.
it,
Okay.
I mean, let's not belabor
Just
the
a
point. Let's check
suggestion.
that.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, we have, anybody else from the public?
Guys, so.
You have name,
Yeah.
spell your last name for the record and your address.
Raymond Arias, 64 Bucknell Street, in Clemson, New Jersey, Arias, Arias, just wanna come up and say, I'm really thankful for you guys, I'm happy to be here, I was a little nervous the first time I was here, you know, I wanted to come up and say something, you know, it's got the best of me. I'm gonna try right now and say something, so thank you to all of you guys for welcoming me and making it a very easy transition, and I just can't wait to work with you guys in January. So Liz, I just heard a lot of great stuff about you, and I'm a little jealous because I didn't get to work with you, but I just wanna say, thank you for serving, all the stuff I heard you done, so I'm gonna be bugging you a little bit in January, so.
That's all good. I'm glad to see I have a good replacement. So call me anytime you need. I'll point you in the right direction. Absolutely.
100%, yeah, but yeah, that's about it. Just wanna thank you guys and just can't wait to work with you guys.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right. Okay, payment of bills, authorizing payment of bills in the amount of $352,081.98. Can I have a motion, please? Is there a second?
Parker second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt, Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Rabbit,
Yes,
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rosetti.
Yes.
And we have an executive session tonight to cover negotiations under courthouse square and personnel matter. As well as an update on litigation, I think.
I don't have any.
You don't have any update? Okay. Can I have a motion to go into the executive session?
Want to move?
Is there a second? Second, all in favor? Looking for the real time to give everybody a break.
Thank you.
No. Fine, okay, we're out of executive session. Nobody from the public is outside. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Parker second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Yes, the next time we're together is on.